Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined by Kyle West.
Hey, how is it going? I am talking to everyone in the chat room right now. We have a lot of folks with us for this show.
It's awesome. Thank you to everybody who's already in the chat with us. And we also have Adam Carlson.
Wow, I have a pretty wicked echo here because I don't have the show muted. But there we go.
That'll do it. Hit that mute button, sir.
Yeah.
That's a rookie mistake. That's like preseason.
It is. I should be way better on this. My bad. My bad.
Before I get to the show title, I want to point out that Kyle West has a Cowboys and Aliens shirt on, and I want you to change it to the Dallas Cowboy and Alien. I want every person on there to have Jerry Jones' head on them. All right?
Oh.
Funny story about this shirt. I didn't even plan this. This is my most random souvenir from Vikings training camp in Mankato. K-Fan had a booth set up. This was, when did the movie come out? 2011? Okay, so K-Fan had a booth, and you went up and you answered some trivia questions about the Vikings. And they were, like, really simple trivia questions. And so I got them right, and they're like, you can pick, like, a piece of, like, a prize from this table of stuff. And instead of it being like Minnesota Vikings related gear, it was all really weird stuff. And so I got a Cowboys and Aliens shirt from a K-Fan.
That's awesome.
At training camp. So I'll never throw this away.
This is why I called that out. This is worth it, that story. So thank you for that. But we'll keep on track with the show because we have a great show to talk about today. This is episode number 269 titled Case Off.
Yeah, I love it. I love that show title.
He's the only one I think that really loves that movie.
The All Face Off is amazing. It's the greatest movie ever made.
One hasn't seen it. The other two of us have, and both of us either love it or hate it. So
it's awesome. It's so good.
Very particular.
It's so good.
Cage movies. All right, very particular. But 2 weeks in a row, we've named the show after Case Keenum. Last week, not so much on the good side. This week, absolutely on the good side. So we're going to talk about the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But first, let's jump into some quick hits.
I like your rejected show title. We have to say that. You have to say your show title first.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Okay, so for you guys that are in the chat that haven't listened before, I'm from the South, and I decided I wanted to channel my inner redneck and say a case of Keenum Light. We have Keystone Light there, and it's absolutely atrocious, and that's what I thought about.
Crack open a case of Keenum Light.
And I could see him. We should find that. One of you guys are better at this than I am. Get a good picture of Case Keenum with a good Joe Dirt mullet and like a wicked mustache. Yeah.
There you go.
You know what I was looking for? Today I was looking online to see if I could find the Tampa Bay Joe Bucks and just have like the entire team with Joe Buck's face on them. That's what I was looking for today.
Tampa Bay Joe Bucks. Like that scene in The Waterboy where like every player on the
like
team
that
turns
scene.
into Henry Winkler. Only they're all just Joe Buck. Oh God, that's brilliant.
That is awful. I would never hate the state of Florida more. Ugh. So, that's good. That would mess me up. All right, so some quick hits. First off, Chad Greenway is to be inducted into the Iowa Hawkeyes America Needs Farmers Wall of Honor. The ANF Wall salutes former Iowa football players who exemplify the tenacity, work ethic, and character of the Iowa farmer. So I'll let Mr. Kyle West take this, but I think that's pretty awesome.
I don't know. I just live here. I don't exactly farm or anything, but it's a good honor. Chad Greenway. Well, you guys know how excellent he is with the community, and that extends to not just Minnesota, but he was a Hawkeye, and so he's always here within our state as well too, just doing amazing things. And this is a fairly new honor that the Hawkeyes have started doing. I believe it's only the 6th year for it. But it's really cool. It's just a good way to honor former players on the team. And, his whole family does farm. He's from South Dakota, but his whole family does farm. So he's always very, very much on top of and included in things like that. A very hardworking guy.
Excellent. He always does so much else for the community, too. Even when he was with the Vikings, it was always, finding programs to help feed families, helping to donate. I believe it was he bought a vehicle with the help of the hospital to give to a kid whose mom couldn't afford a vehicle to help out shipping the wheelchair around, and just there's tons of great stories like that. And he still keeps those organizations going, like Chad's Locker and some of the others. It's amazing to even come back and talk about the things he's still doing. It's awesome.
He's a great person. Just forget about all his accomplishments on the field. He's just a great guy who does a lot of good work.
Yeah, shout out to Chad Greenway, just always being a true pro. And, he's a good guy. He's definitely going to be missed. But I don't really know anything else that comes from Iowa besides corn. So this is kind of cool.
That's about it. That's about it.
And a pretty good football program. I'd say they're pretty good. Mm-hmm. But moving right along, Vikings players Kentrell Brothers, C.J. Ham, Anthony Harris, Stephen Weatherly, Eric Wilson, and R.J. Shelton, along with Vikings youth football director E.J. Henderson, who was a former Vikings player, helped a number of Minneapolis North high school students celebrate their revamped weight room, including leading through some drills and sharing educational experiences, backgrounds, and future goals. That makes me super jealous. I wish that would have happened when I was in high school.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Doesn't it seem like kids these days get all the best opportunities? I tell you.
Better as time goes on. That's pretty sweet, especially if you're like an avid Vikings fan like us. That would be really cool. Get to say you worked out with Harrison Smith and C.J. Ham. Well, Sam Belden of Business Insiders named U.S. Bank Stadium on his list of 25 North American stadiums that every sports fan should visit. I don't know if this isn't any surprise to me. I saw it yesterday, and I thought about you, Adam, because I know you were at the game. I didn't realize how vertical the seats went and just how –
Oh, yes.
I mean, looking down, I could see now that you were talking, you might have had an upper-level seat, even though it was the first row, which is a good seat, but you still felt so good. And you got it at a decent price
right.
This game, which is amazing. But I just seeing how it was built and the openness of the glass, it makes it kind of have an outside vibe. I can't wait to go there. So it's not a surprise to me that it made this list.
No, that one and Jerry World are probably among the two. And then you probably got a lot of historical stadiums, like Lambeau Field, Wrigley Field, whatever, Right.
Mm-hmm. So you don't take that in consideration when you hear a list like this. You just automatically think of football. Like, I want to go to the Viking Stadium. I've always wanted to go to Lambeau for the history. But then you forget about their basketball arenas, their baseball fields. So top 25 out of all those teams is pretty good.
I mean, Madison Square Garden's got to be on there. And, just a bunch of them. There are so many. Pontiac Silverdome got torn down, but that would have been on there for me because I WrestleMania 3,
Isn't the Silverdome still, dilapidated and just abandoned and standing?
I believe they finally tore it down.
Did they finally tear it down?
Because I think they were trying to sell it.
I remember seeing the photos, and it looked like something out of a third world country. They just, let it go to the elements. It was really sad and creepy looking.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure was. But I do recommend that if you do end up in the area and you can catch, even if it's a concert or monster truck rally or even, some of the events that go on in there, in U.S. Bank Stadium, like the races or the 5K runs that end there, or even just a stadium tour. It's really worth checking out. It's a lot of fun.
I made the rookie mistake. I tried to sneak in a bite of pizza on here, so we're going to – The last ticket that we have, Vikings have signed safety Jack Tocho to the practice squad. I believe he was a pick this year, right? He's a rookie?
Yeah, he was a 7th rounder, I believe.
Well, that's a nice little addition. Could always use some help there. Nothing too big, but we'll keep you informed of the transactions here on the Purple People podcast.
Are we going to completely dodge the political stuff this week?
No, we can talk about it. I was going to wait tonight for our show to talk about it and my bold statement because
okay, we can do that.
I have pretty spirited feelings about it that might shock some people. So,
all right, sounds good. We'll hold off on that then. I do want to say that I had a great time at the game, and I got myself something that I haven't gotten yet, and I've been wanting one of these for a while. Mystic Lake Club Purple at the game. You could go in and you could get yourself one of these puppies, which is a nice little Carl Eller autograph.
Ooh!
And I have his on a football card that I bought on eBay, and there's nothing like walking up to a Vikings great, shaking their hand and talking with them for a minute or two. That alone is better than the autograph, but man, what an experience. And there were other Vikings players signing autographs around the stadium too. So if you do go to a game, make sure to check out the Vikings website. It'll tell you where all these players are signing autographs. When we went there, we assumed there was going to be a line out the door, you know, Carl Eller. But no, we walked right in. There was no line, nobody there. Just grabbed the autograph. We got to stand there for a second and BS with him. Really great guy, very polite.
That's a
fantastic experience.
That's cool. I didn't even know that went on during games.
Color me jealous, sir. I don't like you anymore. I don't want to do this now.
I already had autographs and met the other people that were doing it that game, so hopefully we'll have some different ones in the future. And if I had known, I'd have gotten Jim Kleinsaucer during week 1 because I couldn't find Club Purple that week.
Wow, Kleinsaucer was there. That's amazing. One of the most underrated Vikings ever.
Always been a fan favorite, though. All right, so week 3, the Minnesota Vikings hosted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was a lopsided affair with the Vikings scoring early and often with a strong defense, getting some takeaways. US Bank Stadium was insanely loud, and there were over 63,000 people there in attendance. Just a massive game that I did not expect to go this way. I expected Tampa to be a much tougher opponent, but Tampa Bay also came in suffering from a lot of injuries, missing a top lineman, top cornerback. It was just not a great situation for them to be coming in and playing against a team that looked like a very beatable team against Pittsburgh and then dominated at home against Tampa Bay.
I was super worried going into this matchup. I thought that for sure the Vikings are going to end up getting steamrolled by Jameis Winston, and it's just going to be just not a fun game. And it ended up being the exact opposite of that. It was a really fun game as a Vikings fan to sit down and watch.
Well, as I've said before, my main concern coming into this game was not Mike Evans. I thought that Xavier Rhodes would do a decent job on Mike Evans, and he did. I was really worried that this was going to be Deshaun Jackson coming out and running all over everybody, because that boy is fast.
He's been in the league a little while, but he's still got speed on his side. Much like Mike Wallace leaving us, I didn't think he still had it in him. He's been burning people at Baltimore. I want to give a shout out to the announcers before we give out our game ball and donkey, because they identified stuff that I didn't necessarily realize. You know, the big story of the week was Sam Bradford not playing again, but I won't take anything away from the Vikings because they played lights out yesterday, but they did expose all of Tampa Bay's weaknesses. And Tampa Bay's a different team on the road. They explained and showed the stats how Jameis Winston has a lot more picks when he's on the road. So we took advantage of that yesterday, and I'm just really, really excited because I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that we would lose the game yesterday. I just thought it would come down to a field goal or maybe win by a point. And
I had Tampa Bay winning. I absolutely had Tampa Bay beating Minnesota.
The guys on NFL.com that do the podcast or whatever over there, there was 4 guys total. 2 of them had Tampa Bay winning. The other guys that picked us said that we have a home field advantage, which I firmly believe that we are a completely different team at home. But it was a very nice showing. If you're a Vikings fan, you're filled with pride today, that's for sure.
Now, from where I was sitting, I could look down on the field, and I could kind of pick apart plays a little bit because it's like that Madden top view, you know, where you can look down, you can see all the individual pieces. And every time I saw the Buccaneers line up in their zone defense, which was too often, I'm like, okay, they're going to overload. They're going to, cross the field here. And every time it seemed to work out that way. It was crazy how, looking back on the way the Vikings ran their defense, it was like feeling like you were watching that. When Minnesota was very zone heavy. Mm-hmm. And it was just picked apart far too easily.
Yeah, I was just very happy. I got to use DirecTV and NFL Network for the package that we have in the family. I got to see the game, no issues, very clear connection, and from the get-go, I mean, if you guys didn't know, if you guys can't tell from it so far, we won yesterday. It was very, very one-sided, and from the get-go, the offense was just pedal to the floor, and the defense matched. So it was a very good game. But before we break down stats, let's get to this game ball and donkey because I'm really excited to hand these out. I'm going to go out first, and I'm going to make Adam Carlson really happy today. I'm going to give a shout-out to the offensive line as a whole unit. I can't pick
No, that's not one player.
No, I'm doing it. I'm going out of my zone and picking something that because anybody could pick Case Keenum.
So pick one. Pick one player.
I'm gonna go with our awesome center. Then I can't believe how well he's playing through the first 3 games.
All right.
I'm just gonna credit too, since I want to give it to the whole offensive line. I love doing this because it makes Adam so mad. So I'll read you the stats here as I pull them up. So the Tampa Bay defense, no sacks yesterday, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. Case Keenum had lots of time yesterday, and the difference from this game and last week is him stepping up into the pocket. The place of where he went in the pocket allowed him to deliver throws all over the field because he made some really good deep throws yesterday. But if I have to pick one person, because Adam Carlson's going to fire me, shout out Pat Elflin, because I really, really like this kid, and he has stepped up in a big way so far.
I was kind of hoping you were going to pick the best performance on the offensive line from this week so I wouldn't have to, so I could pick Case Keenum because Case deserves it.
Yes, he does.
The best player on the field, that the most impactful performance came from Mike Remmers. And last week, Mike Remmers was absolutely blasted again for making so many mistakes. This week, he didn't allow a single pressure. Pro Football Focus has him as their 3rd highest rated player of the week with an 85.3 grade. Fantastic week from Mike Remmers, although he's going to face a much tougher competition next week. There's so many people were so down on Mike Remmers. So for me to be able to sit here and say he played a great game, he helped keep the offense going, he was solid in everything that he really did, you can't ask for anything more from Mike Remmers.
Well, I'm going to pull an audible. I had Stefon Diggs wrote down because I thought one of you other gentlemen was going to pick Case Keenum. But since no one did, I have to give a game ball to Case Keenum then.
The game of his career, man.
Yeah, and Mike Zimmer, you can watch it on Vikings.com, actually physically gave Case Keenum a game ball, and that's not something that he does hardly ever. So we got to give a shout-out to him. He was 25 of 33 for 369 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. This is a guy that 1 week ago I was like,
here's a guy.
Here's a guy on the field.
Vikings Twitter was calling for his head. They want Kyle Slaughter to start this game.
Kyle Slaughter. Yeah, anyone. You'd sign Michael Vick off the couch and start.
I feel like we talked about this last week.
Yeah, we did. Because it was terrible last week, and it was such a huge turnaround. And I don't know if that's just a difference in game planning and preparing and knowing that you're the starter for a full week of practice or what, but man, that was a great performance from Case Keenum.
Fun fact for Case Keenum, too, this is the 4th time he's played this team, or the 5th, I think 4th or 5th time, I can't remember. But he's undefeated against Tampa Bay, and it's really weird how that works.
Yeah, this was his 4th time, and they showed his stats against Tampa Bay before the game in the stadium, and he always had fantastic games against them.
I think in 3 games, he had 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Ooh, someone's popular.
He had 4 touchdowns, no picks, and yeah, it's just weird how you have like really good success against one team. I'm sure you could go down the list of like the greats of the NFL and find that one team that they always seem to beat. But that was pretty funny to me because after seeing what we saw last week, you know, Pittsburgh's a tough opponent too. But I had Tampa Bay as the dark horse for a playoff team this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
But I think the Vikings did a really good job of exploiting their weaknesses and their deficiencies yesterday as far as personnel being out. But we can break it down a little more. Sorry, I'm getting too into it.
Well, let's talk about Case Keenum again for just a little bit.
Okay.
Case Keenum was pressured 11 times in this game, which is quite a bit for a quarterback. But only 6 of those came from the offensive line. As I said, none from Mike Remmers, which I thought was impressive as all hell. But when facing that pressure, Case Keenum completed 9 of the 11 passes for 114 yards and a 109.8 passer rating under that pressure, according to Pro Football Focus. Case Keenum, as they wrote, had the game of his life.
I think it's funny. Week 1 and week 3, both of our quarterbacks had their career games.
I know Vikings Twitter's going off, too. They're like, watch Teddy come back, and he'll have the game of his life, too.
Well, I mean, I'd be okay with that.
There's worse problems to have, that's for sure.
Yeah, Weber is starting next week, I just hope that the Vikings can continue on and have success. Like, I don't expect them to have career games every single time, but stability at the quarterback position is super important.
Now about our donkeys, I have the same one as Mr. Kyle West, so I'll sit this one out.
I don't remember who I wrote down. Oh, Tremaine Brock. He got beat for a touchdown over top of Deshaun Jackson. And yeah, I know
That's not the only one, too, because the first time I noticed him in a game, he got flagged for pass interference.
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it just, he gives up the touchdown, and then he's pretty quiet. You don't really seem to notice him doing much positive out there on the field. And I don't know, expected more from that. Got my donkey. Give up a touchdown, and don't fly. You get
Tremaine Brock only played 13 snaps in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And to give up a touchdown and have that pass interference, that's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, I was very upset. They called out immediately because I saw it as the play evolved. I was like, well, there's a PI call. And the announcers just annihilated him. They're like, anyone who knows half of anything about football can tell you that's PI. Right from the get-go, and I understand, Mike Evans is hard enough to deal with. Deshaun Jackson's not much easier, but it's pretty sad considering he's supposed to be like the backup plan when it comes to corner. But my donkey, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, man. I love that Xavier Rhodes kept Mike Evans contained, but he had a moment of weakness yesterday that really bugged me, and I'm giving it to Xavier Rhodes for pulling a penalty because he put hands on a ref, which he should have gotten in trouble for. Now, when I say hands on, there wasn't a punch thrown. He wasn't shoved, but physically he was touching a ref for a long time, walking over, made a very rookie mistake, jawing at Mike Evans, and just continued and continued and continued. And especially after a game last week where we drew so many penalties, it was ridiculous. To have another game this week where you give up one that's so easily avoided, that one kind of set me back. Your play on the field is excellent, man. You gotta have that on both sides now. You gotta learn when to walk away. I understand that you get spirited, but that was a pretty boneheaded thing to do. I'm sure Mike Zimmer talked to him about that.
So what do you guys think of the weird touchdown celebration with the digging and then the putt and the weird dice roll that none of it made sense?
I'm a fan of it. I love it.
I don't understand the rest of it, but as long as they get to do a touchdown dance, that means they scored, so I don't really care.
It don't have to make sense as long as they're out there. I just like the fact that the NFL is letting them have a little bit of fun afterwards. Do some whatever you want to do and dance a little bit. It's entertainment. Remember that.
What was interesting in this game is that they played a lot of nickel, and I mean a lot. For those of you that aren't too familiar with what nickel defense is, that's when they pull a linebacker out and they put an extra defensive back in. Ben Gedeon is listed as the Vikings starting linebacker, but he only saw 9 snaps in this game, which was kind of strange considering he had twice as many the previous week.
It's a bold strategy, but you got to assume that they were going to figure that Tampa Bay is going to want to throw the ball, and with Doug Martin being out, that they weren't going to rely so much on running it. So
that's why Terrence Newman saw 33 snaps, Mackenzie Alexander 18, even Tremaine Brock with 13. These cornerbacks are really getting used a lot, and I mean a lot.
The Vikings can get away with that a little bit too because they can rely on the front four of their defense to stop runs. Like, you don't necessarily need that extra linebacker in there to stop it.
And Terrence Newman is a very disciplined player on the field. Mm-hmm. And Mackenzie Alexander is a bigger corner, and he's usually a fairly solid tackler as well. So
he's better than people want to give him credit for.
Like I was saying earlier, before the season started, Mackenzie Alexander, you're going to be cursing his name a few times this season because he's going to make some mistakes. Mm-hmm. But he is a solid player. He comes from a great background, always working hard. I do believe he's going to be a success for the team. I do believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
But that's kind of what I want to talk a little bit about there. But let's talk about the Vikings offense. You ran down the stats already for Case Keenum, so we don't need to be doing that. Quarterback rating of 142.1. The QBR was 95.9. the passer rating was 142.1. I don't understand how all that works, but that's what
numbers, math.
Can we just say, if you can take a look at it, because we already know he threw 3 touchdowns, 2 to Diggs, 1 to Jay Wright. He threw the ball 33 times. He only missed 8 of those throws. It's pretty damn good considering he's our backup. So,
and last week he passed a lot more, didn't he?
He did.
I think so.
I think that's because the Vikings are trailing, but still. The running game, Dalvin Cook averaged 3.6 yards per carry, which isn't fantastic, but considering what the running game used to be for Minnesota, we will definitely take that. 27 carries from Dalvin Cook for 97 yards. Case Keenum ran 6 times for 18. And otherwise, 4 carries got divided among Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon for 5 yards apiece.
Let's pause on Dalvin Cook for a minute. I just love how much this kid is a dual threat. Like you said, he had 97 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. But then you look at his receiving stats, and he had 72 yards receiving. So what were his all-purpose yards?
169.
169 all-purpose yards from Dalvin Cook. That is amazing.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And the Vikings are going to keep just feeding him and using him. We thought there was going to be more of a division when it came to how the Vikings were going to use their running backs. But
not too much.
Latavius Murray had 8 snaps he played. Jerick McKinnon had 14. CJ Ham was sometimes on the field with Dalvin Cook, so it's hard to gauge it that way. He was only on the field for 22 snaps. Dalvin Cook, 54.
I mean, play your hot hand.
I think we're I'm gonna have to reference the chat that we had earlier amongst ourselves and be like, yeah, it's gonna be so hard without AP, you know? All those people stacking the box. What are the Vikings gonna do without AP? I think that we're gonna be all right. I just have a hunch. As long as this kid's healthy, I think we're gonna be okay.
Absolutely. I do want to say that I'm getting these snap counts from football guys who do a great job of putting out the snap counts for each player after each game.
Awesome, awesome. I think I read on Twitter that if Adrian Peterson stays healthy and plays all 16 games, he's on pace for 411 yards rushing.
Oh, he must have been getting some carries in week 2 and 3.
Yeah, a little bit.
Not too shabby.
Can we talk about these receivers yesterday? Oh, my goodness.
They caught some footballs.
A little bit. A couple good performances.
Stefon,
what's amazing is to see 8 catches. 8 for 173 yards.
And 2 touchdowns.
What?
2 touchdowns. I tweeted out that Case Keenum was doing what I do when I play Madden, and that's just like throw the ball to Stefon Diggs. Just every single time. That's like Madden numbers.
Stefon Diggs averaged 21.6 yards per catch.
Oh, my God.
Adam Thielen, 19.6. Dalvin Cook, 14.4. CJ Ham, 12. It's like, wow. I will say that there was one point where I was getting ready to get a little nervous at Stefon Diggs because he didn't get going until a little later in the game.
He had some drops early on.
It was early on. He had some drops, and I was actually picking up my friend from the airport, and I was furious. I was like, Stefon, you never drop passes. What is this? And then it's like a light bulb switch. It's like, okay.
He's one of those players.
Gas pedal.
He's one of those players you hear a lot about momentum, and players need momentum. He's one of those that it takes him sometimes a couple plays or a series to get himself going. And then as soon as he gets going, I mean, before you know it, he's got 2 touchdowns and 173 yards.
Now, you guys know that I've gone to some football games. And I've seen the teams warm up, you know, back in the locker room. They'll show the camera and stuff. I don't know if I've ever seen a Vikings team as fired up before a game as I did before this one. And I don't know what their motivation was, why they were so just intense, but you could see it in everything they were doing. And when the groups were meeting back behind the locker room or before they came out of the tunnel, there was just an intensity on their faces. And when you're sitting in the crowd and you can get that feeling of intensity, it just makes you want to be louder and match that. And it was a fantastic fantastic experience and a fantastic display that they put on. And you could see just how intense these players were, how hard they were fighting. It's a fantastic effort. Let's swap over the defensive side of the ball, where nobody had double-digit tackles this week. Normally, we got a bigger split as far as tackles. Harrison Smith led the way with 8 this week. Andrew Sendejo with 5. Terrence Newman and Eric Kendricks tied with 4. And we got multiple players at 3. But if we're talking about defense, we aren't talking about tackles, are we?
Talking about interceptions.
We are. There were 3 total interceptions in this game, and some of them were quite impressive. One was thrown right to a guy, which... I guess you got to take what you're given, right?
There was a Ponder-esque interception.
I don't understand the Anderson Dejo interception. There wasn't even a Tampa Bay player there, I don't believe.
There was a missing communication. Jameis thought that he was running a route that clearly he was not running.
But Trey Wayne's jumping in front of a pass. Whew, that was nice.
See, can we talk about this Trey Wayne situation? Okay, good. Because I keep seeing a lot of crap on the internet, or people are calling for Trey Wayne's head. And I politely remind them that even though I do love Marcus Sherrills in the return game, you could have him playing corner full time, which is not what I want. Even Tremaine Brock, I mean, he gave up a lot yesterday. Trey Wayne's biggest problem that I've seen in the last couple of games is the separation that he'll give people. I understand you don't want to be side by side with Deshaun Jackson because you don't want to have to worry about that battle. The thing that Trey Waynes is known for, at least in the first 2 years and going into this is year 3, I believe, or is this year 4 for him?
I believe it's 3.
This is year 3 because the rookie year was a Seattle playoff game. That's right. So it happened in a Packer game last year. Got picked on the whole time. People are smart enough, and I actually made a comment of this because I'm trying to hold back on the internet for some of the stupid that I see out there. But you're not going to throw to Xavier Rhodes' side because that would not be a smart thing to do. It pass is either going to be broken up or maybe intercepted. So you're going to pick on Trey Waynes. I get it. He's going to get picked on, which is going to give him more chances to get exploited. But Trey Waynes, in true Dumb and Dumber fashion, when I say you totally redeem yourself, every single time he gets picked on a lot in a game, he makes a big play. He made a big play in the playoff game in Seattle. He made a big play last year against Green Bay. He's getting picked on every time that it seemed like it was getting thrown his way a lot. Him or Terrence Newman. And then he comes up with a wicked interception where he's got this great vision when he can get turned around before the ball. He's 3 or 4 feet away to the receiver. He can actually undercut receivers very, very well. So for all you guys that say that Trey Waynes should be gone, please look at your alternative. For all this, the same people that are saying that we should have started Kyle Slaughter yesterday. Just stop. No. Ride the wave. Just like with Mackenzie Alexander, like Adam was saying, there's going to be times he's going to frustrate you, but there's a potential where he could turn into Xavier Rhodes-esque. And
he could be fantastic.
He could be very good.
No, you're 100% right, though, Smith. It's other teams' quarterbacks key in on Trey Waynes by default because he's not named Xavier Rhodes. So he's going to get picked on more. But it's a good confidence builder for him to where he gets picked on, he makes some mistakes, he comes away with an interception, though.
Well, you can see Trey Waynes is still instinctively going back to his college game because in college he relied heavily on his acceleration to close the gap between him and the receiver. And at the NFL level, the competition is so high that you just can't give that much of space because you can't close in on it that fast. That window gets a lot bigger at the pro level.
Jason in the chat said he can develop into a good corner, just too tight with his hips.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, yep.
Absolutely. The other interception of the day came as the game was getting closed out. Harrison Smith grabbed one, and that was the third and final of the day.
Yeah, we frustrated Jameis Winston. We're going to keep going down the line, but Everson Griffin got a sack. Stephen Weatherly got a sack. The D-line is nasty as usual, and it's causing frustration too. I consider him in the top half of the league. I mean, it's his 3rd year, but he's thrown for 4,000 yards and over each of his first 2 seasons. They were frustrating him yesterday, and like you said, some Ponder-esque throws because the the Harrison Smith interception, I mean, there was at least 4 Vikings defenders in the area. That was not a good decision. Nobody, I don't even know if there was a Buccaneer around when Idris and Dejo got the pick. The Trey Waynes one was
no.
But man, I'll take interceptions all day long because the first 2 games we didn't have a takeaway. So Mike Zimmer hit on that, saying it was a really, really good job of us getting a takeaway or 2 or 3 in this game because we needed to catch up.
Shamar Stephen, first career sack. Awesome. Shout out to him for that big play. The Vikings did only get 2 sacks during this game, but there were times when the defense got really close. It seems like offensive lines are paying extra close attention to Danielle Hunter this season because they are doing everything they can to keep him as far away from quarterbacks as possible. Yet he's still finding ways to get in there and get pressure, even though he's not having the kind of sack numbers that a lot of fans were hoping he would.
Is why we say all the time that stats can lie a little bit. He's doing a lot of stuff that doesn't show up on any stats right now, but that doesn't mean he's having a bad season. He's a darn good player for this team and will continue to get even better.
Did Mr. Smith give away a donkey?
I did. Xavier Rhodes for the dumb penalty he got.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There was a lot of... You know what, though? He's playing with a lot of passion, and he was...
Yeah, I'm not going to take anything away from his play. He does his job. He's finally... And I know all of you guys in the chat will probably agree. I know you guys will definitely agree amongst the other 2 of you. There was a time when Xavier Rhodes was playing early on in his career where it was kind of like you kind of had to hold your breath. We knew what he was capable of, but you didn't know if he was going to draw that PI, if he was going to start jawing. I'm not worried about that anymore. I'm fully confident to say he's top 3, if not the best corner in the league. But that was just very much regressive behavior from what I'm usually seeing. But you're right, it's because he plays, because he wants to be the best, and he's not going to take any shit from anybody. But at some point, you gotta hold yourself back and be a little bit better of a pro. So that was my donkey. But it
is nice to be at the point where you can nitpick a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. But he did his job yesterday. Mike Evans, underrated receiver.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Huge. He's a big body. So it's nice to have somebody who can match him physically.
And it would be a huge blow to this team if, like, Xavier Rhodes was to get ejected from a game. Like, that changes the whole defensive game plan, I would have to feel like. So, yeah, you're right. He does got to not be so selfish in that respect and not let his emotions get the best of him. I'm sure Mike Zimmer had a big, long sit-down chat with him, either after the game or Monday or Tuesday. I'm sure they talked about it or will talk about it.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. We were talking about the defensive line rotation a little bit, and we saw a little bit of that. Everson Griffin, 47 snaps. Danielle Hunter, 39. Brian Robinson, 37. So they are rotating the fresh bodies in there, keeping the pass rush alive, which seems to be working quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Kai
Forbath.
Kai.
He was 2 for 2 on field goals.
But that's not the best part there. He made every extra point. First game of the season where he's made all of them.
Yeah, he heard us talking. He heard us. He was like, man, I got to know justice.
Which is pretty good. Ryan Quigley punted 3 times, averaged 40.3 yards. One within the 20. One that was really kind of short and should not have been as short as it was. But as you guys know, the People Podcast, we are team take the touchback. Jerick McKinnon, 1 return for 20 yards that left the Vikings with a long field. Not great.
Although crazily enough, I was looking at stats, just like league wide, and Jerick McKinnon is 11th in kickoff return.
I know, isn't that sad? No, everybody needs to be taking knees in the end zone for the touchback. That's the way it should work. All right, so that's what the Minnesota Vikings did in Week 3 against Tampa to come out with the big win. Next week, they are hosting the Detroit Lions on October 1st, noon game. You can watch it on Fox. It's going to be interesting.
This is going to be a tough game. Vikings fans, I will be as real with you as I can be compared to how I used to be when I was just guest hosting on the show. We're at home, so I'm going to predict the Vikings to win, but everything has to go like this game or like Week 1. I never thought that I would say this in my long time of watching football, but Detroit is for real. If you guys didn't watch, you guys know if you listen to the show, I'll give you more NFL news than maybe you want to hear. But Detroit, man, what a heartbreaker yesterday. They competed with the NFC champions yesterday. And if that would have went, the call was great. The call was perfect because it wasn't a touchdown. Golden Tate was just shy of the game-winning touchdown. Weird rule, which had the runoff going, and they ended up losing after a review. But
no free timeouts.
No free timeouts, nothing like that. So this is going to be a tough game. And I thought last year I was so taken back. You know, how do you split with the Packers and the Bears, but you get swept by Detroit? Detroit's the real deal.
They really are. That pass rush has come a long way.
And you thought when Megatron left that it was going to be whatever. Matthew Stafford slimmed down a little bit. I think even though, let's be honest, Jim Bob Cooter has the best name in the NFL. He's a great offensive coordinator. Jim Caldwell has kind of reinvented himself there because this is, as everybody knows, it's pretty much been the Packers' division to take every year. So it's going to be a tough game. So you guys need to tune in. If you're going to go to the game, be extra loud. I hope Adam's going back, or if he's not, I hope Kyle can make it. But this is going to be a tough one, and this is going to be the first test because I believe the next 3 games are division games.
My buddy just sent me a video from the Tampa Bay game that he took because his buddy's a fan of Jameis Winston and the Buccaneers.
Crab legs.
And he was out there warming up, and I'm talking to Clint as this is going on. I said, oh, my God, look at Case Keenum. He looks like he's all fired up for this game. And he was, too, man. He was on fire.
I'm so jealous you guys go. Adam, are you going to the Lions game this weekend?
No.
All right. We have to do this in a frantic rush, Purple People podcasters. Every time one of us goes to a game, we win.
We got to get Mr. West some tickets here.
So we need to make this happen. GoFundMe starts now.
We got a couple cool reports here, both from ESPN. Courtney Cronin, who's their staff writer, was talking about DALVIN Cook, saying that the most challenging part of the transition to the NFL is getting in a recovery routine to get his body back quickly for the next game. And I can absolutely see that being an issue. But following this game where he had 169 all-purpose yards, 84 yards after contact, he said, I feel good, man. I feel like I'm back in Florida State.
Nice.
We got one more that wasn't in the quick hits, but kind of should have been. Mike Zimmer said that Sam Bradford's back in Minnesota and that he remains day-to-day. I believe ESPN reported today that there was no structural damage to the knee, and they're going to see how things go on a week-to-week basis regarding Sam Bradford.
So here's what I collected from all the reports, because before the Steelers game, it was kind of like, oh, my God, question mark. Everybody's in a frenzy. Kind of like when we found out Case Keenum was starting. You guys know that episode of The Office where it's like, it's happening. Oh, God.
Oh, yes.
That's what it reminded me of, but we knew early on this past week that Case Keenum was going to start. From what I've collected, the situation with Sam's knee hasn't gotten worse. It just hasn't progressed as fast as we wanted to. So, I mean, that is a good takeaway. It's not like we don't know what happened, but it's getting worse. So this might be Case Keenum for a while. So, like you said, day to day, but that's something to kind of a different spin on it if you guys didn't know or weren't aware. Sam Bradford hasn't regressed in his knee rehab, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll find out this week that he can take on the Lions.
All right, so let's play a game here. Pro Football Focus, top 5 grades for the Vikings during this game. Let's see how many you can name.
It's got to be Case Keenum.
Case Keenum, number 1, 89.0 overall grade.
You already be Mike Remmers.
Mike Remmers, number 3 at 85.3.
Gotta be. Diggs. Yep.
Stefon Diggs, number 4, 83.6 overall grade.
DALVIN Cook.
No.
Really? Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen, number 2 at 86.6. Number 5 is a defender.
Harrison Smith.
Trey Waynes.
Okay.
At 82.2.
Nice.
But he should be benched and cut.
Yeah, he's a bum. We don't need him. Whatever. Just cut him. Draft bust. Fire everyone.
Us when you have thoughts, and we will tell you what is good and what isn't.
We were just talking about. I was just talking about that in the chat room with someone about how there's still weird pockets of fans who were like, "Fire Mike Zimmer" for no apparent reason.
Yeah, they are out there. They definitely are.
All that I can come up with is that people want a quote name head coach like John Gruden to come in, and then they will just immediately not be happy with John Gruden and want him fired. Like, I don't.
Did you guys watch the Cincinnati Green Bay game this week?
I watched the end of it. I thought Green Bay was gonna lose in Lambeau to a team that has been terrible the first 2 weeks.
Now, I was skeptical about Tony Romo being an analyst, but he's fantastic.
He's good.
He really is. He was talking about coverage, and he spent almost 2-3 minutes talking about Mike Zimmer's impact on the defense there and how he instilled that defense, and Cincinnati used that to give weird looks that nobody really knows. And he gave a lot of love to Mike Zimmer.
Good.
Nice. Yeah, there was a joke going around about Tony Romo. It was like, if you could recognize this in the booth, what the hell are you doing on the field? But I like Tony Romo as a quarterback. I think he got a lot of unnecessary hate because he was pretty good. He's a lot better statistically than people give him credit for. But that's been the talk of the first 3 weeks as far as commentators goes, about how Tony Romo in every game so far can tell you what's about to happen before it does based on looks at the defense.
Yep.
Or if he sees a quarterback calling audible and sees the formation shift around, he's talking about, all right, cool, this is going to happen. And then it happens. You're like, he just Miyagi'd me. Oh, my God.
It was funny that you mentioned the commentators for the Tampa Bay game, because we had Chris Spielman, that was Rick Spielman's brother, that was doing the announcing for the game.
Yes.
And you got to see how intelligent he was. And I'm sure that because his brother is the GM for the Vikings, he probably pays extra close attention to Minnesota and watches a lot of tape. So he did come across just very, very knowledgeable, and it was a lot of fun to listen to him do the broadcasting for this team. I hope that they stick him more. I liked his input on the team.
I hope so too. I really do. Mm-hmm. Let's do a Survival League update here. We've got quite a few strikes this week from people picking the Dolphins to beat the Jets.
Oof.
And you can't really blame that here. On the flip side of that coin, Pittsburgh got people some strikes because they were unable to get a victory. I believe it was the Bears they were playing, right?
Can we talk about this? I have a meme about this. The Jaguars blew the Ravens out of the water.
That wasn't even a game. That's crazy.
Played the game of his career. The Bears beat the Steelers, which is weird. We beat the Bucs with the backup quarterback. The Jets killed the Dolphins. The Bills beat the seemingly unbeatable Broncos. The Patriots barely beat the Texans. Packers needed overtime to beat the Bengals. And the Redskins beat the Raiders.
One heck of a week of football, man. I made my week 3 picks. I'm going to be lucky to get like 6 or 7 of them right. It's not going to be pretty.
This is why football is fun to watch, and we don't just like, well, hey, the Patriots, here's a Super Bowl ring. Like, hey, you actually got to play the games and get there. It's fun. This will make football fun.
Absolutely.
Now, we do have 3 teams eliminated in week 3 already. B-Rob and them W's, J Money's Majestic Pick Set, and Me Seeks and Destroy are all done. We still have 3 teams that are waiting on tonight's game to find out what's going on there. Ooh. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 other strikes handed out, and I'm one of them.
Who'd you pick, Adam?
I took the Dolphins to beat the Jets. I bought into the Dolphins hype. I thought Jay Ajayi was going to run all over, and that definitely didn't happen.
Jets are generally terrible. I can understand why you'd make the pick.
I thought I could pick Miami. I can save a better team till later. I should have used a better pick, man. I'm kicking myself in the butt for it now.
You know what? I took my donkey from this week to myself because I left Stefon Diggs on the bench in one of my leagues, and he had 37.
Oh, ouch.
That's ouchy.
I'm still going to win by at least 100 or almost 40 points, but I forgot that I had him. I was like,
You want to know the crazy news, though? The 3-peaters are still 3-0. Darn that Craig.
Someone's got to dethrone him.
It's not going to be me. I don't think. I've already got a strike. Well, what the hell?
Yeah,
all right, so when do you guys want to go into the social media or your rant or something here?
I'm going to do my bold statement because unlike our president, I have staved my rear end off of social media talking about this stuff. So I am going to go ahead and just give my thought. I'm going to try to keep this to a minute or a minute and a half. If you're upset about players taking a knee during the national anthem, I challenge you to get rid of what your thought is on why it's disrespectful to the flag. You know what's disrespectful to the flag? Read the U.S. code. You're not supposed to print the flag and use it as clothing. I have a pair of American flag shorts. I'm wrong by the U.S. code, but nobody picks that out. You're not supposed to use the U.S. flag for advertising. That's everywhere. Can't pick and choose your battles. This is a peaceful protest that these players are trying to make something aware of. I'm not an African American, and it's going to get touchy here for a second, but I do believe in my heart of hearts growing up, if you're a black man or a black woman, it's harder in this country. I think this country thrives if you're a white male because it's been ran by and governed by white males pretty much since it was in existence as a country, minus our last president who was an African American. I give kudos in some aspects because I'm in the middle between both sides. I don't pick one or two. This all started with Colin Kaepernick taking a stand, and man, has it had an impact. I think it's great what he does for his community as far as the money he's donated and trying to make awareness that black people are being shot unjustly and innocent black people have died. Now, on the contrary to that, are there a lot of people out there, black, white, whoever, who don't listen to the police, who test the boundaries, who have an attitude, and who should be more compliant to what a police officer is saying? Absolutely. I will never go against that because I'm military police for the last 10 years of my career. People don't like cops in general. And if you give them attitude to start, it's just like if you go to buy a T-shirt somewhere. If you give the salesperson attitude, they should give you attitude back because you should be polite. We should all be kinder to one another, and that comes with this. All these NFL players are doing is trying to make awareness to a subject that is black people are being killed unjustly, and the cops weren't held accountable, and that's not cool. I do understand that African Americans, especially African American males, are part of this statistic that is – you know, they have a higher crime rate in this country. They fill up more of the prisons than we do. And I feel like they're set up for less success because of their skin color. And it's been that way. Dave Chappelle talks about it in his new stand-up. You know, he's like, if you want equality, you got to wait a little bit. I think he's talking about transgenders. He's like, I got called the N-word in traffic the other day. It's going to take a little bit. And I started laughing because it's true. You know, we think back to the 60s, the 50s, the 40s. This is when this stuff came around, and we're still talking about it today, and we shouldn't. What I think people should take into consideration is America's land of the free, all right? And I do say, a lot of people say because of the brave. I get it. I'm in the military, and I support all of my brothers and sisters 1,000%. But you've got to understand, there's no law saying that you have to stand up for the national anthem. Hell, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but 10 years ago, I don't even think the players came out for the national anthem. The NFL has started to pay, the government has paid the NFL to make this a big deal. This is just something that the media is driving because it's a talking topic. And I feel like if you're doing it peacefully, you're doing it the right way, we should all talk and listen to one another. There are points to be heard on both sides, but it's all about how you say it and are you willing to reciprocate information and absorb information as much as you're willing to spew it out. Because I've found on social media, and I'm done now, that a lot of people just want to yell at people and say, that's wrong, you need to do it this way. And it's terrible. All we do is fight. That's my 2 cents on it.
The Vikings did offer a statement after the president issued a statement calling players who did take a knee sons of bitches, and went off on that a little bit. But the Vikings ownership did issue a statement saying that now is not the time to be using that kind of language and to pull people apart. People need togetherness now, and they need unity. And the Wolf family has always focused on that. They have many charities that help minorities or people that are low-income families.
I mean, they're Jewish, right?
They are.
Yeah.
And it is a time that people do need to come together, and to see politics tearing apart something that is supposed to bring everybody together, like football or entertainment. It's really a shame. I do believe that this is, not to get all government conspiracy on people, but this is a plot to try to pull attention away from something else, and it is working so strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
That it's making me just sick to my stomach.
Don't pay attention to North Korea. Boy, we're way off on a tangent. Don't pay attention to North Korea. Don't pay attention to healthcare. Let's pay attention to football players taking a knee during the national anthem. My quick little thing. just one statement. There's way too many people on Facebook and Twitter who are angry and mad and have absolutely no idea why. They only are because they see everyone else. Oh, I've seen my friend posted a thing and shared a thing. Well, I want to share a thing and post a thing and be mad too. That's all it is.
Let's finish up here. Let's talk about the social media question of the week.
We had a lot of really good answers for social media question.
We asked you guys who was the Vikings offensive player of the week in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brandon Ellis says Stefon Diggs. He torches defensive backs and makes tough catches, whether it's a deep ball, fade, sideline, or whatever you ask him to do. By the way, Adam Thielen is number 2 in the NFL in receiving yards, and Diggs is number 3. I was watching, as I said, on ESPN, and they were talking about how during this season so far that Diggs and Thielen have to be in the conversation for the best wide receiver duo in the NFL.
Finally.
John says that it was probably Jameis Winston.
It was my favorite.
Kathy Ellisberg says lots to choose from, but Case Keenum should be player of the week. What a surprising performance.
Yeah, that's why he got a game ball.
Yep. Brent Foster says Keenum, maybe Diggs. Tough call. We got a lot of Case Keenums here. Denise Sanders says Case Keenums. Thomas Bew says Joe Berger gets mine. He got beat a few times, but played through a stinger. Paul Allen couldn't say enough good things about the guy. Great physicality, mental toughness. I did not know that he had a stinger. I did not watch the broadcast of the game, so I missed out on a lot of the little pieces of entertainment from the game, and that is amazing that he played through that. He said that his donkey still goes to Jerick McKinnon for running it out of the end zone on the kickoffs.
Just take that knee, Jerick.
Craig Morley of the Three Peters says it's hard to single out any one player. Only Rudy didn't contribute in a big way, and he was strangely a non-factor, but lately the Vikings have been keeping their tight ends and running backs in a lot more to block, and I don't blame them on that one bit.
And that's also a little bit of the difference between Keenum and Bradford. Bradford likes throwing to his tight ends. He likes throwing to Kyle Rudolph. Looks like a little more so than what Case Keenum does.
Yeah, if your receivers are winning matchups, there's no point in heading over and trying to get a player involved just for the sake of getting them involved.
Yeah, totally agree.
Sergio Moreno says the whole offensive line. He pulled a Kyle Smith on that one.
Yeah, Sergio.
He said, when they play well, our quarterbacks throw for 300-plus yards and a couple TDs. Eric Grendel says Case Keenum led us to our victory. Dalvin and Diggs are just getting started, 22 and 23 years old. Wow. Mike Conrad says Case and the O-line.
I didn't know they were that young. That makes me so happy.
Right? The Vikings have been picking out these insanely young players that are so talented, and we're watching them. We have the pleasure of watching them develop. It's so much fun.
It's like we drafted Diggs when he was 15? That's what it feels like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for this week. We're going to be back next week, and we're going to talk about the game against Detroit, which should be a very hard-fought game. Noon Fox Sunday. Be sure to check it out. You guys got anything else you want to say before we call or close?
Just say thanks to the new faces that we had in the chat. Tell your friends about us. Share us on. I'm going to challenge everybody in the chat right now. I know we have some guys that come in every week. Eric Grendel, people like that. I know we have a new guy. He said Sergio.
Yeah.
If you're listening right now, go on Facebook if you have it, and share our Facebook page, facebook.com/Purple People Podcast. Or if you can, share our YouTube page. It's the same thing, youtube.com/Purple People Podcast. We want to keep building the numbers. And like I always say when we plug this at the end of the show, because of you guys, this is where we are. I haven't been around as long as Adam and Kyle, but the show's come a long, long way from Skype audio to a live show now with video from what I remember when we started. And it's only going to get better the more people that we have, the more momentum we have behind it. So really thank you guys for doing this. I'm glad you guys find the Vikings so awesome as we do. And tell all your friends about us.
And we do want to thank you guys because we are up to 420 subscriptions now. Every time we do a show, that number seems to take a nice little jump, and we do appreciate that. Now, I do want to plug my other projects. As you guys know, I write over on the Viking Age, where I've got a talented team of writers with some big opinions that that aren't afraid to let their flags fly and show that they may not march to the beat of the same drummers. But there are some great articles over there, and if you want to check that out, it's vikingage.com. We've got our own app as well if you're on mobile devices, so check those out. I also do work over on Undead Walking, where I talk about everything to do with The Walking Dead. I've even got a live show over there where I watch episodes of the show as they're airing, and you can hop on and chat with me. I'm going to be doing it through Fear the Walking Dead, and I'm planning on doing it through The Walking Dead, but I have a feeling that it's going to get a bit intense and busy during that time, so hopefully I can be able to get maybe some guests on to talk. I also do shows where I preview and review comic books. I'm trying to get more of my team on there to help me out, so hopefully that'll happen in the future. But if you like The Walking Dead, be sure to check it out. We've got Attack of the Blog, which is Mr. West's project.
That is me.
Yeah, I recommend you check that out as well. He's always got cool reviews on there about cool Halloween snacks or fun movies.
I am in Halloween mode right now, writing all kinds of fun Halloween stuff.
I went to 2 Halloween superstores this year, so I'm getting in the spirit, and I've got 2.
Exciting.
I only need to get one more part to my costume. One more.
I want to jump one more piece of Vikings info in there because we got it in the notes, and we talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to give all of our guys props. DALVIN Cook is second in the league right now, 288 rushing yards behind Kareem Hunt, who's having a crazy good rookie year. Antonio Brown leads the league for wide receivers at 354. Adam Thielen is number 2 at 299, and Stefon Diggs is number 3 in the league at 293. And Mr. Everson Griffin is number 3 among the leaders for sacks. Melvin Ingram has 5.5. Calais Campbell has 4.5, and he's right behind him at 4. It's pretty crazy to see all our guys like leading the stats because in the last couple of years we've been kind of quiet, even though we had, I think, 5 Pro Bowlers on the defense, and yeah. Pretty cool. But I just want to throw that little stat in there, too, to get hyped, man. It's going to be a good one this year. I have a good feeling.
Absolutely. And we'll be back next week, probably Monday or Tuesday again, and we're going to discuss that game against Detroit. So we'd appreciate if you could join us or check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, PodOMatic, wherever you go, because we're all over the place. If you type us in, you'll find us. Oh, yeah, if you got a pager, we can beep you. We're all set. And remember, stay classy, Minnesota.